Brendan and Jason. Sorry, Nathan. It is such a privilege to have one of my movies picked. Regrettably, that movie you picked was Hellboy. I was first introduced to this movie by my wife, who was a big fan of the first one. And all I can say is that afterwards, when we got done, we both looked at each other and agreed, what is this shit? Good luck, good sympathy.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Okay, welcome everyone to What Were They Thinking, a podcast about bad to questionable movies. Welcome to everybody except Adam, who called me Jason. You son of a bitch. I, of course, am Nathan, one of your co-hosts, and as you heard in the intro this week, we're talking about the 2019 David Harbour vehicle, Hellboy, and I certainly wasn't doing this alone. With me, as always, is the, you know what? I'm older, so the Hellboy to my Professor Broom. Brendan, introduce yourself there, fella. How you doing?
Hey, it's me. It's Jason, and I'm... Oh, wait, no.
You son of a bitch. Whore!
Oh, yeah, I'm here talking about Hellboy, and I'll tell you one thing, Nathan. If you had told me in 2018 that we'd be sitting here talking about a Hellboy movie, I'd be like, which one? The first two are a lot of fun. That's ridiculous.
All right.
But here we are talking about the 2019 Hellboy, which those two statements I would not make about.
We almost covered this one at one point. It was like that close to being a recently regrettable.
Yeah, and then I decided I didn't want to feel that much pain, so I switched it. I don't even remember what I switched it to, but certainly I'm sure it was something not as painful. But here we are, unfortunately, about to talk about this movie.
Couldn't escape it. No. All right, well, pitter patter, let's get at her. Sooner begun, sooner done, all that stuff.
Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
That's right, and I'm gonna break down the plot. So, Hellboy is a superhero who works for the Bureau of Paranormal Investigation or something like that.
Yep, the BPI.
Right, not the RIPD.
No.
And he, in this particular adventure, he's gallivanting across the globe, all across the globe.
Oh my god.
Trying to prevent Bebop from the Ninja Turtles from resurrecting Lilu from Fifth Element. And hilarity ensues.
You know what? I have to give you a round of applause right now.
Okay, no, thank you.
Because
thank you.
you summarized one of the most convoluted plots in a movie that on this show, in a movie that we've covered on this show. Let me start that again.
Don't forget, we've covered vibrations.
Yeah. I'm going to try that again. What I'm trying to say, leave it all in, future Brendan. What I'm trying to say is this is one of the most convoluted plots we've seen in a while. And you summarizing it that succinctly was impressive, because when we got to the plot, I was like, I'm just going to go grab a quick bite. I'm going to brew a coffee, because this movie, it's just like... I think you could say
over the place.
Yeah, it's trying to do way too much. It's acting as it's like the movie already knows it's gonna bomb, and it's like, we better get all the Hellboy shit in.
See, I think a lot of that could have been reduced had they kept the evil witch that they had to reassemble in the same country.
Man.
All over the world? Really? We have to go all over the world, and then we have to go like that? Ugh.
But this movie, it's like, okay, Hellboy, so we're already in the world. Okay, cool, no origin story. I'm okay with that. We don't need one. Oh no, now we're going to get the origin story. Now it's the evil witch. Oh hey, these characters are here too. Hey, Thomas Haden Church playing a character that people are excited for, but if you haven't read the comic books, you don't know who the fuck he is, and why are we excited for him? And then you get all this other shit going on.
I was glad that when they got to that brief origin story, it wasn't very much. Like they're taking for granted that if you're going to see a Hellboy movie, you're probably fairly familiar with the origin of Hellboy. And they did it the same way in the first one with the good one with Ron Perlman, and John Hurt. So it was just like, real quick at the first. This one's like real quick, like maybe half an hour, 45 minutes into the movie. It felt like ages. Time ceased to mean anything at one point. This movie it's long in the tooth. It was like almost 2 hours, or was 2 hours, and it felt like a week.
Well, the crazy thing is the original two movies are both 2 hours or a little bit over, and they just feel
clip
it
right along.
Yeah.
Oh, they're nice.
And the thing is, like, it's not even that it's like that the originals are faster paced, because there are definitely moments of downtime in between the action scenes. I think this movie has too much of a breakneck pace that it's like, all right, let's just stop for a second. Hold on. Stop the car. What's going on? Who is that? And who is that? And the movie's like, oh, okay, sorry. Let me have characters explain it to you for 20 minutes what's going on, and then we'll get back to the action.
And that's the thing with the Perlman movie. You get Professor Broom, you get Abe, you get Hellboy, you get the girl, and they're trying to stop Rasputin. Or Rasputin.
Simple.
Rasputin. And then there's that, that Nazi guy made of sand. That's kind of cool. But
wait, Thomas Haden Church?
But with this one here, it's almost like they suffer from the Spider-Man 3 syndrome, where they're trying to cram in as many characters as they can and explain the purpose of these characters.
Well, and it's funny because technically this is, I mean, not canonically, but it is kind of Hellboy 3 too, if you think about it.
I don't think about it like that.
Well, I'm just saying it's the third Hellboy movie.
It's the third Hellboy
movie. Much like that was the third Spider-Man.
Yeah. So like you said, we open with the I guess the medieval, the Knights of Arthurian legend. King Arthur, Sir Lancelot, Sir Cumference is there, and he's the guy who designed the round table, if you remember from that episode. They left him out of the movie, but they put him in this one, and they're there, and they're basically drawing and quartering Milla Jovovich, who is an evil witch, and like she can't die, so they cut her all up, stick her head that's still conscious and talking in a box, and scatter her to the far corners of the world, so she could never be reassembled. And that kind of is the thing that drives this movie, is Bebop from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is trying to put her back together again.
Is it weird though? Like the first time I watched this movie, I thought it was Parker Posey the whole time.
You thought it was Parker? Was the evil witch?
Yeah, I did, and I was like, "Oh, that's good." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I guess she was in Blade Trinity. She does stuff like this every now and then. And then at the end, when they said, Milla Jovovich, I was like, "Oh yeah, right, of course, of course it was."
Yeah, of course. I thought that was her the whole time. So we smash cut from there to Tijuana, which, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, this was probably my favorite part of the movie. Not just because it included wrestling.
Well, this is what I call opening your movie with false hope, because the idea that you have Hellboy going to find...
So this is a hope spot is what you're getting at.
It's very much a hope spot, yes. The idea that you have Hellboy going back to find an agent that's gone rogue after he's investigating like a nest of vampires, finds out he's a luchador, but also like he's been clearly turned into a vampire, and they have like a sort of kind of wrestling match with a vampire.
It kind of gave me a bit of like a love for it right away at the gate. Not only because of that, because it also gave me some Mystery Science Theater vibes, because there's an episode, Samson versus the Vampire Woman or something like that.
Okay.
And it's an El Santo movie, but they call him Samson for the translation. And so I'm like, oh, like the first time I saw this, because this is the second time I've seen this movie, but the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, sweet. Is this the tone that I'm going to get? Because I'm going to love this, and I could understand why people would have shat upon it. because it's not for everybody. It's going to be campy and it's going to be fun, and there's going to be, Mexican luchadors, and god damn, my heart was broken so quickly.
I also like the idea of like when you said why it was shat upon. It makes me think of like that's like the fancy way to say it. It wasn't shit on. It was shat upon.
Shat upon.
Yeah, this.
Well, I mean, that was when I thought it was going to be quality. Now I'll just say they shit on it. It deserved to be shit on.
Well, and like, come on, he impales him with the fucking ring post. Like that's
so cool. It's like the coolest. I want fuck the whole Blood Queen thing that they do with the witch. I would have loved it if this had been John Carpenter's vampires, but with Hellboy.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Right?
And
yeah.
Like, and not only the Blood Queen thing, but like also like the fucking the thing with the fairies and the thing with his
Changeling Bebop.
His feud with Bebop, his like that thing that's like rotting underneath the earth that wants revenge on him. It feels like this is like it actually feels like this is the third movie. Like there were two that we missed because there's stuff that like I was like, wait, who?
We meet Baba Yaga.
That's what I mean. That's that thing that lives like underneath that's all like craggly and falling apart.
Oh, she's in an alternate dimension.
Sure.
Because that's what he says when he meets up with her. I thought sending you to an alternate dimension was pretty clever.
Every bit of dialogue though is just so like and everybody like shrugs everything off immediately. Like Hellboy, I know he's supposed to be quippy, and I know he's supposed to be like, funny and everything. And this is not anything on David Harbour's performance, but I feel like everyone in this movie, everyone is too quippy. Like everything just rolls off everyone's shoulders for the most part. And it's like, how can you expect me to care when no one else cares? Like,
and if the movie had kept the tone or pacing of this opening scene, it might have maybe blended a bit better. Mm-hmm. But because the movie takes itself so seriously at a lot of points.
Yeah, and then at other
times... It's a Hellboy movie.
And then at other times, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like, just for example, in this opening thing where we go into the Lucha Libre wrestling matches, and the agent who's working under the hood defeats the wrestler, and then he calls out Hellboy, and he actually calls him by the name of Hellboy, and he's got a funny little line. It's like, no, I'm Josh. People get us mixed up all the time, sort of thing. Now they're like, okay, that's funny. So Hellboy's name is Josh. That's canon. I'm gonna go with that. Like you said, they have this wrestling match. The mask gets pulled off. The guy turns into a full on man bat. They have a super stiff wrestling match, and he gets impaled by the ring post. And I'm like, this is the opening. I was like, if this keeps going this way. This movie's going to be awesome. Spoiler alert. It does not.
It does not
and
go
it
that
is
way.
not. No.
Also, like, I hope that was the main event of the show, because how the fuck is match 2 going to follow being impaled by a turnbuckle post? Like, come on.
Right? It was when he got picked up. After he did this, goes and gets drunk because he killed his own friend. And then they come and they say, the agents from the BPRD come and pick him up, and they call him Hellboy, and he's like, no, I'm Josh. People mix us up all the time. Yeah. That's it. That's the ticket. That's what my note says here.
Yeah, and that's it for this week's episode of Lucha Underground.
Yeah. Yeah, I sure would have stayed on longer if shit like that happened on there.
Well, I mean, there's some, I mean, they killed off wrestlers on that show.
Of course, there's like a, I don't know. There's like, we go to the BPRD. We see the whole, broody teenager thing that Hellboy is supposed to have going for him, despite the fact that he's at least 60 years old at this point, because of the way he ages. He's mostly an adolescent.
Yeah, he's like Groot.
And then like the rather combative relationship he has with his dad. And then of course, there's a broody witch meeting with, Baba Yaga and an unseen entity at this point. No time to think about that. Let's head off to England and the Osiris Club, which I believe Hellboy says, yeah, it's a pretty great strip joint in Jersey. No, this is another one that's in England. I mean, we could have gone to the strip joint one in Jersey. I'd have been fine with that.
I mean, but that's the kind of movie I expect this to be. Not to be like medieval shit and like, this whole thing with the Osiris Club is just so pointless. Like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I wish this movie had a more Men in Black style feel to it with its monsters, where it's like they're existing just under a veneer.
Yeah.
And there's no there's no they have to go and they have to explain all this lore and stuff like that. They're like, I mean, if they like, there's like this is the spear of destiny. This is it pierced the blood of Christ. It can kill him. Take it, go. That's all the explanation you need.
Yeah,
with stuff like this.
Too much lore. There's too much like shitty world building. Like attempts at world building that don't really help. They just make the world more confusing. Like I'm just like, wait, who does this person work for? Well, who's that though? Why are they doing that? Like,
right? Because we go to the Osiris Club. They take a down to like the lower parts of the Osiris Club, and they've got heads of giants, and they've asked him to come to England to help, kill some, giants who have been terrorizing a local forest. And of course he's got to gear up, and then they have the explanation of where he really came from. And then of course we get that flashback with Thomas Haden Church, and then they go out hunting giants, and they double cross him.
And then the giants like kill the
No, it's not even the giants that kill them. It's Bebop that kills them.
Oh, okay.
Right, because
but the giants are eating their bodies.
Right, because when they get to the place where they're saying that these are the giants are, it's like, yeah, this would be a good place for an ambush, and then they stab him and say, that the lady from the Osiris Club had a vision, and we're not going to let you sit on the throne of England. Why would we ask you to help us do this thing that we've been doing for decades? And I'm like, oh my Christ. I'm already bored to tears by this movie.
Again, like this is a good like 15 minutes, not a good 15 minutes, but it's like 15 minutes that you could just fucking cut. You don't need any of this Osiris Club bullshit. It's just put it in another movie. like stay focused on one fucking thing. Also, I will say one of the most annoying things, and it always pops up. It's in some good movies, but it's in a lot of bad movies, is when there's like a prophecy. Like a prophecy foretold me that Hellboy would be the one to end the world. It's such a fucking lazy like thing to write into your script. Like how do we know that Hellboy? Why should we have people against Hellboy? Prophecy that he's gonna accidentally end the planet. Okay, cool, done. Like
And another thing too, when he actually throws down with the Osiris Club because they stab him, and of course he's got to fight for his life. It's a fight that's in like a middle of the field in broad daylight on the one sunny day that England got that year.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so weird, one, to see Hellboy out in broad daylight without like the trench coat trying to cover up, and then this fight again also in broad daylight. You expect these kind of things because there's a lot of CG that goes into making Hellboy. Like, it's not all prosthetics,
right?
They usually will cover that stuff under like a darker lighting, and so it looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're electrocuting them and they're about to kill them, and the Osiris Club gets killed by the the changeling Bebop from the Ninja Turtles.
Bebop the fairy.
Right. Well, he's a changeling. He's not a fairy.
Well, the Hellboy refers to them as fairies.
Well, no, the fairies will kidnap a baby, but leave a changeling in its place.
Sorry, how could I have forgotten?
Do you want to get eviscerated in the comments? We're huge in the Wiccan community. I mean, you don't even know.
Don't you take my Hellboy to task.
I had this boil on my back for like 3 months. Found out it's because we got something wrong in Wild Mountain Time, and they put a hex on me, and it would not lance. And I went to the doctor over and over and over again. Finally, I had to, I got some sage. I smudged the house, and then I was able to, pierce it with, the virgin needles of a pine tree. Thank God I was able to find those because they were out of season at the time. and got it taken care of. So I don't want that to happen again. So please, he's a changeling, not a fairy, or fae, if you will.
My apologies. I don't want you to have to. It's hard to find the virgin needles too.
Well, see that, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't get is that if it's not virgin in that like it's never been touched. It's just virgin in that it's never been used in a ritual before.
Oh, is that
okay? So, but they were out of season. Like they weren't growing or blooming at that time, that Wild Mountain time, and that's what made it difficult to find them. And I trust me, I paid express shipping and a premium on top of that because that's how much that boil hurt.
But just real quick, you mentioned Never Been Touched. Is that the porn parody of Never Been Kissed?
No, that is actually the PureFlix version of Never Been Kissed.
Oh, it's like never even held hands. And then by the end of the movie, she realizes that she doesn't need to hold hands. She just lives for God. The end.
Exactly. Yeah, and Sting's there to wish her on her way.
But he runs into Officer DeVille.
Yeah, not Sting the wrestler, not Sting.
No,
not Gordon Sumner.
No, I feel like Gordon Sumner would not be in one of those movies.
Although cool picture when Sting met Sting. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've seen that. It's pretty great. I didn't know it existed. I think my computer broke. I gotta point out one of the quotes here because it's such a stupid line because they rattle it off as if it's just like a common thing that everybody knows. Where one of the Osiris Club people is like, "It's a curious feature of giants that they sometimes rise from the dead." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, everyone knows that. Giants, they're always rising from the dead."
I mean, I see that I don't think that's taken because I mean Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk killed one just by throwing him off a beanstalk.
Yeah, like he says it
died, gone, never came back.
He says it as if it's like giant lore, and I'm like, I don't think that's the case.
Duh, they come back from the dead. We cut away. After that, of course, we cut away from that to a weekend at Ed Gein's house, because so Bebop is starting to stitch Milla Jovovich back together again.
Oh yeah, it's a real that movie with Julian Sands, whatever the hell's that?
Warlock?
No, the one where he.
Oh no, boxing Elena.
Yeah,
that's it.
Also not great. Yeah, Bebop is doing that, and then
Basinger got sued over that movie.
and then he like invades like a monastery, and just starts tearing monks apart.
Well, yes, because again, that's where he gets more parts of her, I guess. Yeah, it's not good.
Well,
I mean,
the stupidest part about that scene too is like he's in the monastery. He's looking for he's getting body parts. He's looking to find something. I don't even remember what he's looking for, but
it was probably like her leg. Oh no, that was when he found the head.
Right.
First thing was the head because the head was put in a box that could only be opened by someone using the tongue of a man of God. So he cuts a monk's tongue out and sticks it in his face.
He eats it.
Right. Well, and then that way he can use it to speak with.
Okay, that's stupid. Number one. Number two, why does he waste all that time threatening the monk to open it if that's all he needs to do? Why wouldn't he just go in there, kill a monk, take the tongue, eat it, and then open the box?
I don't know. Maybe he was just like, "Look, I'm giving you a chance here."
Oh yeah, wait.
Betray your vow of silence. Mm-hmm. That's why the monks had the vow of silence, so none of them would ever speak the words to free the witches' heads. Betray your vow of silence and and the guy wouldn't do it, so he just cut his tongue out.
By the way, giant pig man comes into your monastery and says, "Betray your vow of silence, or I'm gonna fucking rip your tongue out." Just betray your vow of silence.
Just God will forgive you. That's his jam.
I think in the Bible it says, "Do not betray your vow of silence, lest a giant pig man comes in and threatens to eat your tongue."
Worst part of that guy, he's a real big bore.
Oh, Lord.
We go back. Hellboy has a fight with some actual giants. There were some giants there, and they're like eating hikers and the rest of the Osiris Club. He manages to defeat them, but gets knocked out and gets picked up by his Uber. which
Oh,
actually is just a quippy line because it's his friend Alice that picks him up and takes him back to her place and burns his breakfast.
Played by Sasha Lane, who has done a few movies, and she's a better. I mean, she's not bad in this, but I'm just saying like she's allowed to be better in other movies. But what I thought was weird is like, okay, maybe the characters are supposed to be British. I'm sure they are, but like you have Sasha Lane, and then later you have Daniel Day-Kim, both American actors. Just let them be the American actors. Just let them use their real accent. Like, who cares? Is anybody watching this saying, like, if they're not British, that is the tipping point for me. I will walk out.
And the thing about it with Daniel Day Kim is that he got the role because the role originally went to a white dude. And then everybody was like, that's not cool because that character is Asian. You need to get an Asian character actor to play that. And they got Daniel Day Kim. So, as you said, you know what? I feel that they got an Asian actor to play. Job done. You don't have to ask him to put on this accent.
No, and neither of them can do the accent very well. And I find
keep strong to do this.
Hers goes from like proper to like Cockney to like back to proper to sometimes vaguely American. Like it's just and again, I'm not blaming the actors. I feel like they would have had no time to learn the accents. Like I don't feel like that was an emphasis on the movie's on the movie or the director. Which, by the way, we didn't even mention. This movie's directed by Neil Marshall, the dude that directed The Descent and Dog Soldiers.
See, I thought you were going to say Breen there. And I would have been like, that makes perfect sense.
This would be a major accomplishment if it was Neil Breen.
This is absolutely, yeah.
But no, with Neil Marshall, like two really fun, gripping kind of like horror movies. And then this thing, which makes me wonder how much of a Studio Relic thing are we getting here?
And that's, like, he should have leaned more into the horror stuff because that's what Del Toro did.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much leeway he had, right? Because, yes, he made those two movies, but The Descent was, 15 years ago? He probably doesn't have a lot of pull as a director.
Well, and here's the thing. Like you said, both those movies are good horror movies and moreover kind of fun cult classics when you get right down to it. Mm-hmm. I think there might have been a situation where they were like, this guy can direct, but he hasn't done anything super high profile. His stuff is cult classic. We could push him around and get the movie that we want.
Oh, probably.
And then if it bombs right out, we can say, well, blame the director.
Yeah, that never happens in Hollywood.
Never, ever.
Also, we can mention that the scene with the Giants, it starts this really annoying trend of, like, every fight scene has to have, like, a... Like, we gotta play this really cool rock song, and then you're gonna love it. Like, every fucking scene.
They do that so you can be like, don't. The lyrics should be, don't pay attention to the CG. It's kind of crappy and a little fuzzy.
Why did we shoot this in the daytime? We're fucking idiots. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is the CG isn't always great, but there are some moments where I actually think it does look pretty cool. Like the Baba Yaga puppet is pretty cool.
What about the puke ghosts?
That was horrifying. Especially
spoiler alert, Ian McShane's puke ghost.
I felt unwell.
Fucking dreadful. Oh my god.
Well,
it was like
it looked bad, but it also made me feel so uneasy.
Because the whole time, like it's the puke ghost, and the body of the puke ghost matches like the stream, the tail that's going down to Alice. But it's almost like, have you ever seen that last Bruce Lee movie where they superimpose like just like pictures of Bruce Lee over the actor's face?
No, but I've seen those clips and they are terrible.
And that's what it looked like, because they like McShane's face was so photorealistic because I'm assuming they just superimposed it onto the blob that the rest of the blob looks out of place and it's way beyond the uncanny valley.
It's just like, I was like, man, I know it's supposed to be like a little freaked out because it's a ghost, but that's not why I'm feeling uncomfortable. And also like just the idea of it being like coming out of her mouth, just to me, the whole thing was just a weird decision.
She does it twice.
Yeah.
She does it with McShane and she does it with the prophetess lady from the Osiris Club because Ian McShane's like, we can't have Hellboy out being by himself too often. Let's raid her apartment and go back to whatever. Go back and they go back to the Osiris Club. They find out it's been torn asunder by Bebop and Lilu and mostly Bebop because Lilu hasn't been fully put back together yet.
Yeah, Lilu's only got like one arm and like no legs or something.
So she can at least change the channel, and she decries the current obsession with Western reality shows.
And that's that movie's. This is the movie's moment where the fucking writer looked at the people around him and was like, "Oh man, the satire is sharp on this one." Because she's like, she says like, what's the line she says? Like, such and such is the next. Oh, she says the swords have been replaced by singing competitions, and I'm like, oh shit, this movie came to play. Fuck, guys, this is the line. This is sharp satire. Like, I think I might get an Oscar for this. Like, the movie is so far up its own ass with this line. Just the way she says it's so sure of herself. I don't know. For some reason, it just bothered me so much. It's like nobody's ever made that observation before.
We get Alice's origin-ish story. That's where this is where we find out about the fairies and the changelings, because she, as a baby, was kidnapped by the fairies, and they left the changeling in her place, and it was Bebop.
And how do they know it's a changeling, Nathan? What tests do they do?
Old Hellboy takes the horseshoe out of his ass, and he's like, they're allergic to iron. And he touches it with iron, and he turns into a little pig man, and just scurries away. Of course, Hellboy grabs him with like a fireplace poker or what have you, and burns him, and thus begins their storied rivalry. And this is why this is why Bebop wants revenge on Hellboy,
and also
because he was supposed to be a human, and Hellboy found him out. And he had to live his life as Bebop.
And also, how hilarious is it that young Hellboy in this clip just has, like, shorter facial hair? He just has, like, a crustache.
It's before he got real heavy into the meth.
I just think it's so funny that they're like, how do we show him younger? I don't know, his mustache could be shorter. maybe less beard. Okay, done.
And I get the unfortunate thing about this movie is, like, because you compare the Hellboy design with Ron Perlman. Like, the design they did for Ron Perlman, he did have some long hair and all like the chops and everything like that, and that square jaw. It was like, when I first saw Ron Perlman's Hellboy, I was like, they nailed that. That's an absolute, from all the depictions I've seen of Hellboy in my life, that's the best thing that they could absolutely do. This one, David Harbour, no offense, because the guy wanted this gig because he was also a big fan. Mm-hmm. He looks like a beefed up meth head painted red.
Well, he doesn't look like a comic book character. Like, I feel like Hellboy...
No, because he's all sunken, and he's got wispy hair and that shitty beard.
I feel like this movie is afraid to, like, go colorful always throughout the whole movie. And it's the same problem I have with, like, the Zack Snyder movies, is that they're afraid to, like, this is fucking serious. This is grit, and this is real life, man.
See, I don't necessarily have a problem with the movie like this being, like, the darker and, like, visual tone, not necessarily like the tone of it, but like my problem with it is like they're too afraid to embrace the comic book look of the heroes.
Well, that's what I mean though, because the comic book look I think would be a little bit brighter, like at least not as muddied. Like it just looks looks like muddy sometimes. Like it looks like it's almost like it's so, like some DC movies are like this where they're just so dark that they're just kind of unpleasant to look at.
And that's, again, it's kind of the downfall, because Hellboy, like, if he wasn't red and had that big giant fist, he'd be fucking drinking Pabst and smacking his woman around.
Jesus.
Right?
Yeah, but almost as bad as he was a Nazi devil.
Oh, yes.
Okay, worse, guys. It's worse. I'm just joking.
So Bebop, after we get Alice's origin-ish, because we find out the reason why she has these, paranormal powers is because the time she spent with the fairies. She doesn't know what they did because she was a baby, but when she came back, she had these abilities, I guess.
Yeah, she bumps people's souls out of their bodies, right?
Oh my god.
Is that what it is?
That was straight out of fucking Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
When she was fighting and she was punching them so hard their souls were leaving their bodies.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's her power. Okay. Well, at least Daniel
that and the visions and the puke-ghost.
And when that happened, I was like, well, certainly Daniel Day Kim's power is not going to be lamer than that. Oh, never mind.
It's Action 52 the movie.
Oh my god, it was
He's a Cheetahman.
But tell me this though, when he turns into a Cheetahman, he kicks ass and takes names, right? He definitely does some damage, right? He gets immediately thrown into the wall and knocked unconscious.
Yeah. It's because he spends the entire movie trying to suppress us. He has no idea how to use his powers. When it comes time to actually use his powers, he's all a dummy about it because he doesn't know how to use it, because he never uses it. Every time he turns, he's jamming himself with like a tranquilizer or something to suppress his anger, so he doesn't. Because apparently the Cheetahman power is controlled like the same way the Hulk is.
I was just gonna say that this is their version of the Hulk. It's almost a ripoff. It's like, oh, instead of green, he's a tiger or a leopard, a cheetah, or whatever.
I mean, it could have been a leopard. I just said Cheetahman because of the video game reference.
Ah,
yeah. So
he's Puma Man.
He's not. He does not wear slacks and fly like an idiot.
You're right. Donald Pleasant's nowhere to be found.
Nowhere's at all. So now that we've met, Ben,
Puma Man,
Puma Man, Cheetahman. He takes them to like the toughest fish and chip shop in England, which is actually a secret HQ. So yeah, and this is where we find out where Ben Agent Cheetahman is possibly looking to double cross Hellboy.
That was weird too, because I was like, oh, okay, this is a pretty expected thing you get in these kind of movies. He's meeting with guys. He's like, okay, so this will take him out, right? But then he's like, I only need it if he goes crazy because I don't trust him. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's not as interesting.
Yeah. We do get kind of a tete-a-tete between father and son when Hellboy kind of accuses Professor Broom of not doing his job by killing him when he first met him.
Yeah, and can we talk for a second?
Sure can, Paul.
Ian McShane's a great actor. I think he's terrific. I love his voice. I mean, he's one of the most iconic TV characters probably ever. Mm-hmm. I think you messaged this to me too. He doesn't fit this role.
He is woefully miscast.
Yeah, like John Hurt in the original movies he felt like a father figure. Like he had a warmth to him. This guy just feels like it's his boss. Like it doesn't feel like they've known each other for a long time.
It feels like he's a dad who maybe thought tough love was the only way to go.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Perlman movie, John Hurt's character is like, you could tell he taught Hellboy stuff, and to appreciate, the finer nuances of what being a good person and defending right was all about, as opposed to this with Ian McShane. It feels like you're doing it because I'm telling you to.
Yeah, it feels like this movie's afraid of like any remotely related feeling to tenderness.
And I think that another thing too that bothers me, and I don't know if this is McShane or if it's the script itself, what they gave him, but the character doesn't feel like as much as he should, like, the way Professor Broom should feel. Like he's like, he's cursing and swearing, he's all pushy and stuff like that. Whereas, the John Hurt version and the comic book version, from the brief bits that I've read, or he's more of a, more of an, austere, very proper professor,
Mm-hmm.
a learned intellectual, who, when he does have to, like, be to swear or to use a weapon and be, aggressive, it definitely has more impact. So when McShane does in this movie, you expect it because of the way you see him from the first of the movie to the end of the movie. He is aggressive and he is, very brash. So to have that character switch, there's no switch to speak of.
No, and that impacts the movie in a major way because he's supposed to be such a big, like, emotional anchor to the movie that when you have the scene where the witch kills him, you're just like, oh, okay, shitty. Like, it doesn't really...
Yeah. As opposed to, like, if they had been truer to the character, he would have been more doing his best to be patient with Hellboy.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, no, this is why we do it. And, you need to calm down and listen to me. And we're doing this we're doing this to the betterment of mankind. And I'm trying to protect you.
That's mankind right now.
Mankind right there. Yeah. Just 1 second. Hello? What? No. Look. Now you were fine in Hot Rod. Yeah. It would fit there. I don't know.
Is he calling?
No, you know what? No. Listen. I don't care. No. John Hurt was better. Goodbye, sir.
How many times did he say motherfucker?
Several times and in a really raspy voice.
And cocksucker?
Oh my goodness. Like,
oof. Yeah. He's always in character. He's always Al Swearingen. But yeah, that's just, Ian McShane. It's an odd casting choice. I don't think it's, like, necessarily a bad performance. It's just a weird decision for him to play that part.
Yeah. And I feel that, that this was the script he was given. I don't think there was a lot of play where he was like, I think we should adjust it so it sounds like this and it's always like this.
Yeah, if you want to see Ian McShane fucking slay, just watch all the John Wick movies. He's great.
Yeah, right? Yeah, let's talk about the Baba Yaga, because this movie takes a dark, dark turn when Hellboy goes to meet her, in that she's eating children.
She's eating the bones of children and almost gets Hellboy to eat some, and he, like...
And there's, like, a meat locker behind him that you can see bodies hanging in the... Ugh.
How are there children down there?
Well, I'm like, it's not, it's a different dimension.
Right.
So, like, I feel that she was tricking them into the dimension.
Okay.
Because Bebop got there because that's who she has the meeting with at the first of the movie.
Yeah.
When she's telling him where the parts of the Blood Queen are.
Well, yeah, this is a movie that starts off with someone saying, like, we start off in the Dark Ages. You fucking bet they were Dark Ages. To, like, this villain is literally eating children.
Yeah.
Like jokey, like, openings to one of the darkest things you can have in a fucking movie.
And so he makes a deal with her because he wants to know where the queen is at so they can find her and, kill her. And she says, cool, give me her eye. And he's like, okay. He gets the location and he says, you'll get it when I'm done with it. You didn't specify the time, which, that's kind of clever and fun.
Yeah,
it's one good thing.
It's basically like a da-da-da-da-da, you should have listened, doop-de-doop, I'm the winner, you're the loser. And then he has to French her.
That was... how do you have hair on your tongue? That was the line he said.
Yeah.
And it's like... Ugh.
And then they... Okay, I know this is going to skip ahead a bit, but then they start tying this movie into fucking Arthurian legend. I know they mentioned it earlier, but now they really start to get into, like, the sword and the stone shit, and I'm like, why are we doing this?
Well, yeah, because they got to go see Merlin, who apparently has been living underground for thousands of years.
And he talks for, like...
Unable to die.
And he talks for, like, 10 hours about everything.
Yeah.
And that's because That's because they do have a altercation with the witch, and the witch puts like a curse on Alice, and they have to get in. And then they catch like this other witch, and she's like, "Oh, nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do. Oh wait, there's like an old dead Merlin you could resurrect, and he'll help you." I'm like, "Oh my god, what is this? A video game?" Like,
It's funny you speak of that, because when they go to visit Merlin and he does his Dr. Pimple Popper thing on Alice, it takes that evil thing out of her. He tells Hellboy, take the sword out of the stone to be the true ruler, king of England or whatever. He's going to touch it, and then Hellboy has a vision of himself bringing about the end of the world, him riding a dragon and fighting deadites, and I'm like, man, that PS5 is something. And then they get down real close, and I was like, until you get up close.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, it's the whole stupid prophecy thing where he's like, no, if I do this, I'll end the world, and blah, 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 blah.
Now, this movie is from 2019.
Yeah.
And what happens next is a little prophetic.
Yep.
Because there is a plague that starts to ravage the world.
Now, one thing is they show the news footage of them saying, like, 100,000 casualties are expected the next while. We don't know what's going on. Cut to a witch literally throwing disease at people. I'm like, how do you not have any indication of what's going on? Has no one seen this? Like, someone has seen this and been like, oh shit, and like told someone. Like, it's 2019. People have phones. People have fucking internet. Like, come on.
The best part about, this isn't the best part, but I mean, the thing that's coming up next, with the fight at the church, where they just start throwing down with like demons, and Bebop is there, the Blood Queen, and the Cheetah Man comes back, and I'm thinking, like, if this stuff kind of happened regularly, this would actually really drive church attendance. Like, you would probably get a lot more people. If church was this cool on the regular, people would come just to see the fights.
Yeah, it's like, come for the sermon, stay for Cheetahman versus the Blood Witch.
Right, and Bebop.
And Bebop, yeah. For the kids, because they love like turtles, right?
Right. And the worst part about it is the whole thing with Hellboy and Bebop, it doesn't even get resolved between Hellboy and Bebop. That the Blood Queen kills him, shrinks him down, and makes him implode.
That was stupid too, because I was like, wait, okay, hold on. At least they could have at least had Alice kill him, because they have the history, right? At least, right? They have a history too.
He was the changeling that was left in place of her.
Yeah, but like, no, to have her just turn on her. It's also so incredibly cliche, right? It's like that whole thing where like a villain wants to get revenge, so they get a stronger villain that promises them revenge in exchange for whatever, and then when the stronger villain is done with them, they kill them. It's like I've seen it. It sounds crazy because this movie is like, the plot is insane, but I really have seen that a million times.
They crash through the floor of the church to find out that the tomb of Arthur is under the church, and Hellboy gets a second chance at taking Excalibur, and he does, and all these demons start coming up out of the ground, and my first thought was, man, demons look weird.
Almost like shitty
There's
CGI.
So shitty that their arms aren't even attached to a couple of them. They're just floating in the air.
Yeah. This movie came out.
It was bad.
This movie came out 4 years ago, Nathan.
Yeah, right.
No excuses.
So.
Also, can I say that I just want to say, when he has his sword and his full horns come out, in this movie and the Ron Perlman movies, I think that it looks super lame. Like, I don't.
Well, with the horns come out and then the crown of flame in the middle.
I think it looks dumb.
Okay.
I don't know. I
don't know. I always enjoyed that.
I like when he's got like the shorter horns, kind of.
Well, he's stubbed off and he's filing them down.
Yeah, or even like, I think there was like the original movies at one point, he had horns but they weren't as big, and I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. But when he's got like the big like curly horns and the flame, I'm like, I don't know. Pass.
They, of course, he fights the queen, and she's kind of unceremoniously done in. Like, he just kills her, cuts her head off. This, he breaks the horns, throws down the sword. All the demons are sucked back down into hell. And my note on that was, so, but all those people are all still dead, right? Because the demons killed and, like, ate a lot of folk on the street.
Oh, man. By the way, that's my favorite part. That I actually did like seeing, like, because there were people getting, like, ripped apart and, like, guts flying everywhere. And, like, it was kind of not the best looking, but I was kind of enjoying that.
There's a part where there's a demon who's, like, sticking people on, like, the sides of his legs, like those Post-it spikes.
Yeah. And then some of them are alive, just, like, having to endure it. I'm like, that's horrifying.
So, like you said, before Professor Bloom gets killed, we get a puke ghost that is off-putting, to say the least. My question now is Hellboy still the King of England? Because, I mean, maybe he's not wielding the sword, but he did take it out of the stone.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in the Arthurian legend that says he has to, walk around with the sword at all times.
Now,
So, I mean, we swore in, like, Prince Charles, but I mean, I think that Hellboy should be on our dollars and coins now.
Now that is a coronation I would watch.
Right?
Can you imagine? Oh, shit. He'd get bored, though. It'd be like 30 minutes because he'd be like, I'm king. Let's get out of here.
Come on, just get to it.
Quippy.
Go ahead to 6 months later. Ben and Alice and Hellboy are all working together as a team. And killing people to Motley Crue music.
Did Cheetahman and Alice have, like, a relationship blossoming? Because at one point, we mentioned that when he turns to the cheetah, it doesn't matter. Like, he does nothing cool. He gets his ass kicked. But, like, after that, she looks at him and she's like, I like cats.
And he says, I'm more of a dog person.
And I'm like, is that supposed to be something?
Are they flirting?
Like, what is this? I don't like it. But yes, 6 months later, yeah.
Hellboy punches in the mouth a couple of times to get him to turn into a Cheetahman so they can fight these people, and they find Abe Sapien.
Which, by the way, their
end.
next mission 6 months later apparently is just them beating up a bunch of lab techs. Wow, what an accomplishment, guys!
And I guess so. I mean, is this okay? So is this movie a prequel to the Ron Perlman Hellboy? If so, why is Professor Broom dead?
Yeah,
or is this a sequel to The Shape of Water?
It's a sequel to Shape of Water, and it's also a new Hellboy movie, as if no other Hellboy movie existed.
Okay. Did you stick around for the?
I did
the mid and post.
Because spoiler alert, I saw this movie in theaters.
Oof.
It was free.
I saw it, the first time I saw it was on Prime when it premiered. Unfortunately, it's no longer on Prime, so I had to rent this. Well, I bought it actually.
What?
Because there was a sale on Prime. It was $4.99 to rent it, or $6.99 to own it.
Okay.
I mean, not to give away, but I feel like I could watch this movie at another point. Not to give away the end of the episode,
right.
But so we get the mid credits scene where old Hellboy is singing Danny Boy to his his dad's grave, and Thomas Haden Church shows up, and Hellboy has like a total fanboy moment, and the guy's actually a ghost who walks through him, I guess.
Yeah, he's like the ghost of Lobster Johnson, as if anyone who's never read a Hellboy comic, which is a lot of people, as if they're supposed to care about this scene at all. Like,
and then
okay.
Yeah, and then at the, if you wait around to the very, very end, you get a meeting with Baba Yaga, and it's obviously Rasputin.
Oh, I didn't even know. See, I had no idea.
The only reason why I'm like, it's got to be Rasputin is because he's speaking with the, the French, or not the French, the Russian accent. And she promises that, if he kills Hellboy, she'll help him die as well, meaning he's been alive this entire time, which is which falls in with the Perlman movie. So
I just love how confident this movie was that there was going to be a sequel, let alone sequels, let alone one sequel. Like, they're like, oh, man, just wait, because we got Abe Sapien coming up. But, oh, man, hold on to your seats, because Lobster Johnson's a ghost, but he could come back into Hellboy's life. But just when you thought it was all over, Rasputin's waiting in the wings, and he's going to get Baba Yaga's help. Oh, man, Hellboy 2 is going to be crazy. Get ready. And then a week later, there will be no Hellboy 2.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the 2019 Hellboy with David Harbour. And there go my notes.
Bye.
Get out of here. So, Brendan.
Yeah.
Is this movie, is it worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends? Are you going to commit head trauma to attempt to forget it? Or are you going to avoid it like the plague?
I think I'm just going to hit my head really hard, but it's really not going to be super necessary because it kind of slides off the brain.
They jump around so much.
They jump around so much, and it's just so convoluted, and like I just didn't give a shit about most of it. Like the opening scene like we said is fun, and there's a couple of like very quick isolated moments, so it's not like the worst, but it's pretty bad. So yeah, I would just attempt head trauma. How about you?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to say drunk watch with friends because I bought it, and so I'm gonna have to get drunk and watch it with some friends to at least warrant the $7 I spent on this. I look at it this way: if I do that, it'll only have cost me $3.50 for viewing, which I mean that's an entertainment value.
I suppose too, if you don't care about the plot, watching it.
Or your friends all that much.
Your friends. I suppose if you watch it.
More importantly, their time. Not necessarily them, but their time. You know
what you do is you make them watch it and you just stare them down the whole time. Like, yeah, I'm getting you to watch this.
Really weird to do that while we were drunk.
They're like, so you want to do something else or
just watch the movie? Just watch the fucking movie.
I just want to see your reactions.
We watched this all the way through. It's only gonna cost me $3.50.
What you need to do is do what that guy.
I'm gonna need about $3.50.
What you need to do is do what that guy did to his family, where he recut Toy Story 3. Did you ever see that video?
No.
This guy, he got his mom, because his mom really wanted to watch the new Toy Story movie, so he took the Toy Story 3 and he cut it off right at the scene where they're about to go into the incinerator, and it fades out and goes to credits. So for like days, the mom is like talking about like, that was horrible. Like, what the hell? That was so bad. And they finally admitted it, and she was just like, oh my God. Like
that's delightfully hilarious.
It's pretty great. Because she's telling everybody else, she's like, I couldn't believe how it ended. And somebody who didn't know was like, what are you talking about? Oh man.
So there we go.
Much better movie.
That's Hellboy. Well, I mean, especially with that cut. I mean, Disney had the gall or the bravery to do that. I would be like, fantastic.
And then they just start Toy Story 4, just ignore it completely.
Which is apparently what they're gonna do with the new I Am Legend movie.
Oh yeah,
like the sequel.
Oh, Jesus, well, coming soon probably.
Probably, but that'll be another story for another day. We have to pay some bills. So you know what? Like I say, don't touch that dial because things still have dials. We'll be right back.
What were they thinking?
This episode. At Salesforce, we're all about asking more of AI. Questions like, where's the data going? Is it secure? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Get answers you can trust from Salesforce at askmoreofai.com.
And we are back.
Hi.
It's time for us to put on our very best NPR voices. Use lots of lip and tongue action, and to present the portion of the show where we like to get a little poetic. It's time once again for the low haiku. And Brendan, if you'd be so kind as to explain exactly what the low haiku is all about.
Yes, indeed. Well, the low haiku is 17 syllables that we use to describe the movie we just talked about for, I don't know, like 400,000 syllables.
And as I was the one driving this plot this week, would you be so kind as to grace us with your low haiku?
Sure. Too many subplots. Tonal whiplash hurts my neck. Hellboy, this sucked ass.
Very good. Very, very, very good.
Thank you. Nathan, would you like to grace us with your low haiku?
I would be delightful. Hellboy's on the scene. Oh, wait a sec. It's just Josh. People mix them up.
I just pictured Josh Kotsabasakis as Hellboy.
Well, he certainly has the beard for it, at least this version of Hellboy anyway.
Yeah. This is roasted.
Shots fired. We're gonna get out, and it's just puke ghosts.
Oh no!
There we go.
Oh no! All the puke ghosts are coming out of my butt somehow.
It's Ian McShane.
Oh, get back in my butt, Ian McShane.
You got cocksucker.
Oh, Jesus, Ian. That's the worst. I can no longer go to work on site because Ian McShane just pops out of my butt and starts calling everyone cocksuckers. It's the worst.
Well, you know what? That'll happen. That'll happen.
That'll happen. Oh boy.
Okay, so I mean, we've waxed poetical and kind of had our say about this whole thing, and you might be thinking to yourself, guys, come on, should I really listen to absolutely everything you guys say as gospel? Well, you know what, fair listener, you shouldn't. And to prove that fact, we like to tell people a certain thing, and that certain thing, what is that certain thing?
Well, that certain thing is...
Don't take a word for it.
That's right. Don't take our word for it. Brendan, I mean, it's a superhero movie, so I can't think that the critics had too high a praise to say about this, but I mean, as Principal Skinner once said, prove me wrong, children. Prove me wrong.
Well, I'm sorry to say I won't be proving you wrong, because you are correct in that 17% of the critics were like, Hellboy, this is a good movie.
Ugh. Okay.
The other 83% were like, Hellboy,
this is terrible.
Yeah, there we go. Why couldn't I think of it? I froze.
But I mean, it's a superhero movie. It's not necessarily one that's designed to go after those super snobby, artistic loving critics. So the fans, they must have absolutely loved this movie.
Yeah, those super snobby critics that loved Avengers Endgame. The fans were not super hot on it either. 48% of the audience liked this movie, about 2,500 plus ratings.
Okay, all right.
But, Nathan, I know you liked this movie.
So much so I bought it.
So much so you bought it. You were that into it. Oh, I also want to mention that this...
$7. It was an entertainment value.
I also just want to mention this movie had just a production cost. This is not the total budget. Production cost of $50 million, and it made 55 worldwide.
Not accounting for marketing.
Well, 55 worldwide for a superhero movie. Like, that's insane. That's so bad. Okay, so yeah, if you like this movie, you would also like Precious Cargo. The Divergent series Allegiant.
I've only seen the first one.
Bleeding Steel.
That sounds cool. And the cover looks kind of cool. I'm guessing it's probably not that cool.
The audience and critics are in agreement, 22% across the board. We've also got Hitman Agent 47.
Oof.
And last but not least, surely this has to be covered on this show at some point, Mile 22.
Just for the Ronda Rousey alone.
Yeah.
She's in that one, isn't it?
She is for like a couple cups of coffee, yeah.
There you go.
But, this is, we'll get into these critics' reviews here. I'm going to start off with a very complicated one. And it's a thinker, but it really breaks down the issues with this movie. It's from Tim Cogshell of Film Week, and he says, yeah, this is terrible.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Well, Brian Eggert of Deep Focus Review wrote, it's not merely that Del Toro made two visually inspired, technically rich, and surprisingly touching superhero movies. It's that Marshall has made an aggressively terrible version of the same material. 1 out of 4.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Del Toro movies. They're not like masterpieces, but compared to this, they are amazing. I'm going to read a positive one here, although it's only a 2.5 out of 5, but it's from Richard Whitaker of the Austin Chronicle. He says, Hellboy 2019 proves that the source material is still magical enough to justify more screen time. Oh, that's what he pulled from that. Okay.
All right. This one it's a positive one.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from Charles Koplinski of Real Talk with Chuck and Pam.
Oh.
And just gonna do this in the voice that I assume he talks in. If you're not a fan of the character, stay away. You'll just be dazed and confused. 3 out of 4.
There we go. Wow, yeah. Unless you're a fan, if you're a fan, you'll love it. That's clearly what's happened here. Okay, this one is, I believe it's from Nick Riley of NME, but I think it's actually from Gene Shalit. He just says, this hellfire has already been extinguished. 1 out of 5.
Okay. This is a positive one. It's from Rob Carnival, and I think that's the pen name of Bobby Carnival from Indie London. And he writes, the film takes some familiar genre elements and mixes them up a little, delivering something that feels fresh, occasionally subversive, yet at times as moving as it is outrageous. It's a comedy with plenty of smats. 4 out of 5. And the reason why I did that voice is because, as I said, this is the pen name of Bobby Carnival.
And wow, 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Holy moly! Someone showed this guy The Raid or something. Okay, this is a good one. This is my last critics one. It's from Damian Levy of the Jamaica Gleaner. And no, I'm not doing the voice.
Jamaica Queens, come on.
It might be actually
Jamaica Queens. You could do a New Yorker. Yeah, there with the thing with the whatnots.
Nah, I'm just gonna read it. He says, the one thing Hellboy has going for it is that it's never boring. Train wrecks tend to hold your attention that way, and his score is read a book.
Okay.
Oh, man. Just quit movies after this. Don't need them.
Jackie K. Cooper of JockeyKCooper.com.
How to get that gig.
Right? He writes, Hellboy 2019 just makes all the wrong moves. No wit, no coherent plot, no charismatic actors. It does have one fight after another, and for some, that may be enough. 5 out of 10. I will take you to task on the no charismatic actors, sir. I think David Harbour and Ian McShane both, as well as Daniel Day Kim, both do fine jobs when they are given material that suits their abilities.
Yeah, and like the girl who plays Alice, Sasha Lane, I've seen her in a couple other things, and she's good there too. It's just when the material's lousy, sometimes you get lousy performances, or you just get, not lousy performances, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, lousy product.
Yeah. Well, those are the people, they seem to know what they're talking about. Let's go into the group of people that often get way off track. Let's go into the audience reviews. I'm going to start off with a 5-star review here from Sarah O, who says, let me tell all of you dumb peckerheads who seemingly don't know the comic version of Hellboy, this is it. It's supposed to be this to the T. Del Toro did his own heartfelt backstories and included a love interest that continued for both movies he made in the early 2000s, whereas we all notice in this one movie with a better character, David Harbour, every character has a backstory that works. It makes sense in the era. It's supposed to be a reboot of what Del Toro failed to comprehend in taking his role originally. Hellboy isn't supposed to be even remotely handsome. I didn't know he was handsome in the original. Hellboy doesn't have a love interest, and if he does, they pull what Nimue tried to do, the witch. Use him for the power he's capable of. The fact this movie got such a horrible rating on Rotten Tomatoes flabbergasted me. I want Hellboy 2 with David Harbour. Drops the mic. 5 stars.
Stop dropping the mic. Those things are expensive.
Yeah, don't drop the mic. Don't do it at a wrestling show. I did it by accident. I felt bad after.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
that was insane.
here's the thing about Ron Perlman. He makes hideous handsome. And I don't mean that Ron Perlman is like sexiest man alive. Anytime he has to have that square jaw of his outfitted with prosthetics, even to try to make him look, for some reason, it makes him look. Think of it, the Beauty and the Beast TV show that he was on with Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, he's supposed to be a hideously deformed beast that lives in the sewers, but like every woman at the time was like, "Oh my, he's so handsome, that beast."
But I think like the review is trying to say that Del Toro attempted to make Hellboy handsome, which I think is insane. Like, he wasn't like, I better make Hellboy good looking. Like, what?
Well, I mean, he's jacked. He's got, at least he knew how to take care of his facial hair.
Right.
Anyhow, my first audience review comes from RST, and I can only assume that's RST Video, so this must be that Randall chap writing this review. And he writes, "The cast made it fun. I did miss Ron Perlman in it, but Milla Jovovich and Ian McShane made up for it. 3.5 out of the stars."
Did he just say he was Milla Jovovich?
But Milla Jovovich, that's what he said.
What a reveal. This one is anonymous, so it must be from Neil Breen.
Gotta be.
It's very quick, but it's just 4.5 stars. It's not like Death Note, but it's still a good movie. Okay. Sure. It's not like Death Note.
Fuck?
What?
Nope.
That's like,
you know what? Isn't everything else that's not Death Note?
it's like reviewing like Jurassic Park. Well, it wasn't Back to the Future, but it was good. Okay. Saving Private Ryan wasn't Jaws. Well, actually, that makes more sense because they're both Spielberg.
I feel that every single one of his reviews it wasn't Death Note, but it was good.
Saving Private Ryan wasn't The French Connection, but it was good.
Okay. Well, my next one's a real quick one.
Okay.
Comes from John S. So I can only assume that's my dad or my half brother, John Spavel.
Right.
And dad or brother John wrote, "Underrated barrel of laughs. 4 out of stars.
Barrel of laughs.
Underrated barrel of laughs."
His favorite part was the kid bones.
Probably.
Okay, let's see here. This one is also from an anonymous user, so again, Neil Breen. This one's very aggressive. This movie was unfairly reviewed based on the other movies, not the comics they're based on. Every time you morons see a movie, you think other movies need to copy it, when in reality, this is closer to the reality of the comics. 4 stars. I love how angry people get.
And attacking absolutely every single person.
You morons.
You morons.
Because you have a different opinion than me, you're all stupid.
Well, my next one comes from Keith H., and I can only assume that's former Mets baseball player Keith Hernandez.
Okay, sure.
And he writes, "I don't understand or agree with the significantly negative reviews for this movie. it delivers what it promises. I like the new Hellboy design / actor as well as the first Hellboy. I especially love the continuous shot fight scenes, which are so fluid and awesome. I like the story as well and am excited about any sequels. I could have used without some of the swearing, personally. Extremely violent, FYI. Watch it. When you're in the mood for comic book violence with your friends, definitely adults only. 4 out of stars.
Well, no shit, it's rated R. I will say that this movie does seem to think it's really cool because it gets to swear. It's like a kid that learns a swear word for the first time, and they're like, "Fuck," right?
Oh, so a Quentin Tarantino movie.
No, I think a Quentin Tarantino movie. But it's more natural, and I think this movie, it's just like, we're in the dark ages. Fucking, of course we are. Like, okay, calm down, movie. Okay. I'm going to end with this simple review, and this is a negative review from Neil Breen, who simply says, 1 star. I think this sums it up. What a bunch of bullshit.
That's it, hey?
Yep.
Okay. Well, my last one comes from Eric M., and I can only assume that's brother of Michael, Eric Morbius. And he writes, the first 2 were better, but this had great visual effects and enough of a story to be entertaining. The Hellboy actor was good, and I enjoyed the Baba Yaga character. 3.5 out of stars.
Man. You know what, though? I was looking. I gotta read this. There's one more that caught my eye. And I'm gonna read it like I think he wrote it, even though he messed up the punctuation. This is a 5-star review from Neil Breen. I say it's rude, but I love the action.
Delightfully so, indeed.
Definitely, yes. Quite right.
Jolly good, jolly good.
If you have another one you want to do, you can go ahead.
Okay, all right. You think I believe I shall, sir. Just give me a moment and I will retrieve one for us, yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. All right, well, then, if that's the case, my last one comes from Daniel H. I got nothing. Dan here writes, not bad CGI with horns and fiery sword, but people he was killing? Really? No soldiers, nothing, ... Time travel back to medieval times without long-range weapons? 2 out of stars.
Time travel?
That was bewildering.
What, there was time travel?
I think he might have been confusing the idea of the Osiris Society dressed as knights fighting with the giants as time travel.
He's like, whoa, I missed the scene where they got into a DeLorean.
So there we go. I mean, wow. That's it. We've had our say. The critics have had their say. The Snake Pit has had its say. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna move on from this to the dance craze sensation that is sweeping the nation. That's right. It's time for the What You Watching, Bud?
What you watching, Bud? What you watching, Bud? Tell me what you got. I don't know. Tell me what you got. I'll tell you so.
It's Brendan.
Yelsom.
What you watching, Bud?
Well, as I like to keep up this tradition, I watched something that could not be more further removed from Hellboy. I watched a movie called The Worst Person in the World. It came out in 2021. No, it's not about Donald Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene or anything like that. It's a
Kaylee McEnany.
Nope. It's a movie that it is sorry.
Kellyanne Conway. It's about Kellyanne Conway.
No, it's a Norwegian film.
Sarah Huckabee. It's about
Jesus
Sarah
Christ.
Huckabee.
It's about a young woman named Julie, and she's a medical student who basically we follow like 4 years of her life through relationships and her jobs and all this stuff. And it's kind of like her observation of like, it's kind of like a self-reflection, like, oh, am I actually a good person? Am I a bad person? That kind of thing. We just kind of see her life unfold. It's not super like plot driven. It's just kind of following her life, and it takes some turns and gets pretty fucking sad and depressing at times. It also at one point I just threw my hands up and I was like, oh, I guess my life is fucking over, eh? So it's it hits pretty hard sometimes. It's hard for me to really say that much about it, but I'll just say it's a great character study, and it's really good. And I think it was nominated for like best international feature at the Oscars and best screenplay. So yeah, check it out. The Worst Person in the World.
Okay.
About you, bud.
Right. Well, I myself this past week took in a docu-series on the old Prime Video called Shining Happy People: The Terrible Secrets of the Duggars. And it's a 4-part miniseries, docu-series on Prime, and it's all about the 1921 kids and counting people and their cult that they're in, the IBPL or whatever it's called. And it's you know what? I'll say that tune in for the Duggars, stay for the other people who have escaped that cult, because it is a harrowing tale. And if you ever watched, and I don't think many of our audience would have watched 19 or 20 and 21 kids and counting or whatever, and been like, you know what, their simple conservative Christian values really appeal to me. But if you did, watch this and kind of see the other side of that coin, because it was pretty harrowing, but really well done.
I didn't know if it went this far, but I haven't seen like episodes of the show, but I've definitely seen bits and pieces while channel surfing over the years, and I think a red flag to me is when I saw that Kirk Cameron was a guest one week. I was like, oh, I don't think this is a show that I'd want to watch.
Yeah, the show portrays them as just like, we're just a wholesome conservative Christian family. Dad's a lovable lunkhead, and mom's just always doting on the kids, and the kids are just pitching in to make this whole thing. But you watch the documentary, and it's like, oh my God, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, they just, and then every time you see something that's like a little off-putting, they're like, oh, it's just a little quirk.
Yeah, it's you can definitely, when they present some of that stuff and they're talking, like, because there's actual members of the family who participated in this, like, people who were on the show, and they're like, yeah, that's they edited around that. This was fake. This was covered up. And they were like super, like the dad was like super brash about, they could have a camera in here and they'll still never know what we're up to for realsies.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting and harrowing. Not the lightest watch, but very, very informative. So
yeah, make sure you don't watch both our recommendations in a row. You're just gonna fucking cry yourself to sleep.
Maybe check out like the Super Mario Brothers movie in between or something. Something real bright and light.
Something you just don't have to pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well there you go. And Nathan, I guess at this point, as is tradition, Montrose Monkington, would he like to say a few words about
he sure would.
his stuff?
Hello! It's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I would just like to invite all of you over to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, where I am talking about the Graps as usual. Just because you chaps just told everyone what you were watching, I will let you all know that my more recent videos have been of the GCW Persuasion, the Tournament of Survival, as well as the Cage of Survival, and my goodness, it was harrowing, but bloody delightful, and all kinds of wrong for all the right reasons. You could see those videos over at Montrose Monkington TV on YouTube. You can talk to me and be friends with me on Facebook group Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. You can talk about the show with me there, or you can all Twitter me on your Twitter devices at Montrose III. That's the number 3RD. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Thank you, Montrose.
You're welcome.
And that about does it for us here over at the What Were They Thinking podcast ranch. If you want to...
Oh, I thought I was going to do the outro muse.
Oh.
So, like, I don't have, but the thing is, I don't have my jug for the, it's in the shop.
You always forget your jug at podcast recording time every week.
I mean, next time, yeah, I'll bring it.
All right. Bring your jug.
Okay.
You heard it here first, folks. Next week, Nathan will have his jug.
Oh, we'll do. I will not stop in the middle of a hoedown.
You better not.
Or, well, why would I?
So you can find us all over the place. We're on the World Wide Web. If you got that on your computer boxes, you can find our podcast home base at Age of Radio.
Big time.
Just go to ageofradio.org/whatwere-they-thinking, or search for us in any podcast app that you want to use to listen to us. That's the sentence I'm going with. You can find us on Facebook. You can search for us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast, and you can also find us at Redbubble and TeePublic and Patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. I always stumble because I'm scared I'm going to say RedTube by mistake, but it is Redbubble, not RedTube.
We haven't been on there for a while.
Yeah, we got banned.
That's because of the size and girth of Mariah's huge penis.
People were complaining because they would click full screen on the video and they still couldn't see anything.
Right, intimidating.
Right.
I think was one of the things that was used, and that was said by several stalwart porn actors. They felt intimidated by the size of her penis.
The ghost of John Holmes commented that.
Ooh, that hog is too huge.
I gotta go rob some more people. Ooh.
How is it I still have AIDS in the afterlife?
Man, who'd I piss off? Oh, right, I was a terrible person. But anywho, that just about does it. So I mean, I guess at this point, I guess I got a few questions for you about the Hellboys.
Okay, well, since our resident comic book expert couldn't join us, I guess I'll fill in for the expert on the Hellboys.
Okay. Well, in a movie that probably didn't need to be revamped. In a movie in which you have the movie stopping every 10 minutes to explain for 20 minutes all the stuff we've seen or haven't seen or about to see.
Right.
In a movie that starts off with a vampire wrestling match and then just goes downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
In a movie in which you have Ian McShane, David Harbour, Milla Jovovich, Sasha Lane, almost said Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Kim.
Daniel Day-Kim.
Daniel Day-Lewis is Daniel Day-Kim.
Oh, that would be the backlash to that. And somehow just they all come off as either trying or just kind of bored or uninspired. In a movie in which you have this CGI during the day. You have the gall to show this CGI during the day. I gotta know.
What's that, my friend?
What were they thinking?
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the track where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it shifts and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back across the sky.
square, past the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand. He'll wrap you in his arms, tell you that you've been a good boy. He'll rekindle all the dreams that took you a lifetime to destroy. He'll reach deep into the hole, heal your shrinking soul, but there won't be a single thing that you can do. He's a god, he's a man, he's a ghost, he's a guru. They're whispering his name through this disappearing land, but hidden in his coat is a red right hand.